The Prophet ﷺ said, there are people from my ummah who will come after me, who love me so much that they would give up their families and their wealth in exchange for just being able to see me. And that pain and emptiness that you might feel that you haven't gotten the opportunity to see the Prophet ﷺ, it's really amazing to see that the Prophet ﷺ had a sentiment towards us when he was, out of all places, in the graveyard. He's in the Baqi' ﷺ, and as he's looking to the graves of those who have passed before him, the Prophet ﷺ in that moment says, وَدِدْتُ أَنِّي قَدْ رَأَيْتُ إِخْوَانِي. I wish I could meet my brothers. And the Sahaba are shocked because he's saying that in the graveyard. So is he talking about those that have passed away? Is he talking about us? So they're saying, Ya Rasulullah, who are you talking about? And he says, no, you're my ashab, you're my companions. I'm talking about those people who believed in me and they've never even seen me. Because subhanAllah, had you seen the Prophet ﷺ, this entire conversation would be so different. And that's why there's such a blessing to seeing him in a dream, ﷺ. Because if you saw him in a dream and you saw his face, then you're longing for him. But you constantly have to push yourself to connect to him, ﷺ. And the Prophet ﷺ knew how much you wanted to see him, and he wanted to see you as well. And those that lived with the Prophet ﷺ, their greatest fear was that even if they made it to Jannah, they wouldn't be able to see him anymore, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Aisha radiallahu anha says there was this young man that came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and he was crying. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, what is it that's causing you to cry? And he said, Ya Rasulullah, every day when I wake up, I look forward to seeing you. And if I want to see you, I just come to the masjid to see you. But I remember that there would come a day that I would die. He had such adab with the Prophet ﷺ, such manners with the Prophet ﷺ, that he didn't say that you would die, even though the Prophet ﷺ was older than him. He said that I would die. And even if I got to Jannah, Ya Rasulullah, where are you going to be? And where am I going to be? And the Prophet ﷺ tells him, Anta ma'man ahbabt. You are with the one that you love. And the Prophet ﷺ, knowing that his narrations would be recorded, alayhi salatu wassalam, the Prophet ﷺ told the ummah, you're going to face things after me that are going to be difficult, but I will be waiting for you at the hawd. I'll be there waiting for you, holding your cup so that you can drink from my hand. And for us to long for that moment is part of our worship. And Imam Hassan al-Basri rahimahullah, he said, Ya ibadallah, al-khashabatu tahinnu ila rasulillahi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam shawqan ilayhi, fa antum ahaqqu an tashtaqu ila liqa'ihi. He said, O servants of Allah, the tree stump yearn towards the meeting of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and you have more right to look forward to meeting him. And everything that you have read about, everything that you've heard about those interactions with him sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, when you and I get to Jannah, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, when we have those moments with him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, everything we missed out on has a counterpart in Jannah. If you missed the celebrations with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that Friday is a day of Eid in Jannah too. Everyone gathers on the day of Friday and they see he who is even greater than the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and that's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself. And so on the day of Friday, you're going towards the Prophet ﷺ in Jannah. If you missed seeing his smile in this life, you get to see his smile as much as you want ﷺ in Jannah. If you missed the opportunity to hear his voice ﷺ and have a conversation with him and host him and be hosted by him, then you have that opportunity in Jannat al-Firdaus. If you want to introduce your kids to him, or have him tell you stories about himself sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his family that never even made it to the books, you have those moments to sit with him sallallahu alaihi wasallam in Jannat al-Firdaus. But you have to long for that, and you have to work for that. And you see from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that what gets us to him is our purity of creed, and then what gets us closest to him in Jannah is the person who has the best character. And all of those characteristics and traits that you read about him sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you have to bring that into your life. And by bringing the Prophet ﷺ into your life in terms of his character, you'll remember him more. And when you remember him more, you'll long for him more. And when you long for him and you send salawat upon him ﷺ, he responds to you. So even though we've never met him, every single time you say, Allahumma salli wa sallim ala nabiyyina Muhammad, the Prophet ﷺ responds to you. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
Sallu alayhi, sallu alayhi, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.